भूतले स्वयं रूप कथामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगघन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगघन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनीश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैवं नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome all the devotees for this Tuesday Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are continuing to hear from Sri Prahlad Maharaj prayers. So would I like anyone to share last week what we discussed?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, one person at a time. Yeah. Go ahead.
Mataji, continue.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
The whole material world is compared to a banyan tree, where the roots flows both upward and downward directions, and the leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Like we must come out of this binding, which bind us to this material world.
Correct. Wonderful. This is from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is comparing this material world with a banyan tree, and we are all wandering in this banyan tree from branch to branch, sometime going upward, sometime going downward, trying to figure it out. Yeah, it's very nice analogy. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. That is, spiritual teachings must be started early in the life, because during that period only all habits will form. And in material life, whatever sense gratification we do are all only temporary and is of no use. And this human life is very rare to get. So we must properly utilize it and go back to Godhead.
Yes, very nice. Wonderful points. That's Prahlad Maharaj's teaching, is that we should start our spiritual life from the beginning. Yeah. So Prahlad was Hiranyakashipu got very much angry towards Prahlad, and he wanted to immediately, he said them to kill him the various ways, but he could not be killed. Yeah, this I think we saw it previous to this week. Okay. So Sanda and Amarka then started teaching Prahlad, but then Prahlad, he started preaching to the schoolmates what he learned. So that's the most important thing. So in this world, what happens is that if you don't if you don't learn proper things, then something else we will learn, which is not actually reality. And that's what happens to most of the people of this Kali Yuga. What is required actually is this knowledge of Bhagavad Dharma. If that is not being taught, then all other material things are taught, which will brainwash the people. And that's why today's society is in total chaos. People are unhappy, and the whole world is burning because of filled with people who don't have real knowledge, spiritual knowledge, all materialistic knowledge, which is driving people to become more and more selfish. And therefore, Prahlad is teaching to his schoolmates and is giving his teachings. So, yeah, so we have to start the human life from the very early. From the tender age of 5, we should start learning this Bhagavad Dharma. So this is what we saw early. So we saw the banyan tree example, how the living entity goes from one body to another body. Yeah, so Prahlad Maharaj's whole point is that although he is only 6-7 years old boy, his teachings are super matured person. Even though he does not have any experience of an adulthood, but his teachings, because he has heard from Narada Muni, he is able to understand, and even without his experience, he is able to share. He understood completely the reality. So that is a sign of a devotee. So the point is that one should understand about the Lord, and then only we can attain real peace. One should know that he is the real well-wisher for all of us. Just like a child, the child has to listen to the parents, then the child will be in safe hands. Because the child does not have any experience of this world, but the father and mother knows exactly how the world functions. Same way, Krishna is the designer of this material world. He is the creator of this material world. He knows how the world is functioning. And so he is cautioning all of us to be aware the dangers. And that's why he is coming personally. He is giving the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. He is sending his bona fide representative so that we take guidance from Krishna, so that we don't get entanglement in this material world. So Prahlad continues to give all the valuable things he has learned from Narada Muni. Finally, we saw the last is material progress cannot solve the real problems of life. So this is the last slide we saw. So we will continue to learn from the 6th chapter, text 5 onwards. So therefore, ततो यतेत कौशलः कुशलः क्षेमाय भवमाश्रितः शरीरं पौरुषं यावान् न vipatye pushkalam. Therefore, while in the material existence, bhavam ashritaha, a person fully competent to distinguish wrong from right must endeavor to achieve the highest goal of life as long as the body is stout and strong and is not embarrassed by dwindling. So further, Prahlad is telling to his classmates that when we are young, we are healthy. So during that time should be utilized to cultivate spiritual life. So the main misconception of many people is that first, when we are healthy, we should work very hard to earn money, and then when we fulfill all our desires, when we don't have any other work, when we become retired, that time we need to take spiritual life seriously. But that is a complete misconception. Here there is a two word that bhavam ashritaha or bhayam ashritaha. But both the word, the conclusion is the same. Because material life is full of fear, anxiety, and there is always a struggle and suffering. As long as we are disconnected from Krishna. So therefore, it is said that one is healthy, strong, and capable, he should strive for spiritual realization and return to Godhead. So even in material life also, the first 25 years are very precious. Even someone want to achieve something big in their life, the first 25 years are very, very important because our mind senses our body is having full of vigor. So you can, if it properly channelize our energy, one can achieve great things. So therefore, children are sent to school to learn at that age. Hmm. So therefore, Prahlad is also saying, if you have to make spiritual advancement, you have to use those critical years. Because once you cross 30, 40 years, then the bodily ailments start problems. So that time our focus will not be there. Right? So bhayam ashritaha means taking shelter of fear. So the word bhayam means fear, anxiety, insecurity, constant danger. So therefore, the whole material existence is called bhayam. Why bhayam? Because people have fear. What will happen? Wealth can be lost, health can deteriorate, relationship can break, and then reputations can be destroyed, death can be unexpected, can happen. So all these things are happening. We are seeing practically. So naturally, a living entity is full of fear. But a devotee, because he does not forget his relationship with Krishna, for him there is no fear. But people who does not have a spiritual idea, spiritual understanding about Krishna, he identifies himself as a temporary body. That's why people why want to take insurance, why we want to protect so many things. It is all because of fear. We know that we will be losing this at some point of time. Just like businessman, he may have a lot of money, but still he will be always thinking, what will happen if I lose this money? Where I have to invest my money? What happens if some competitors comes? What will happen to my business? What happens if some economic collapses? So this anxiety will be there always in our material life. So we should not take shelter of this material existence. Bhava Mahashitaga. We have to understand what is the nature of this material world. The nature of this material world, no matter whatever precautions you take, there will be kind of difficulties because this material existence itself is a temporary thing where we see repeated birth and death. There is a continuous struggle for existence. We cannot avoid sufferings. Somehow or other, nobody works for suffering, but suffering do come, no matter how great a person is. Therefore, Krishna labels this material world. We have to be firmly convinced about it. That because Krishna says this is Dukkalayam and Ashaswatam. So that is called Bhava Roga, the disease of material existence. So no matter how much ever you plan to be happy in this material world through our material efforts, it's not going to be successful at the end. So if you want to be really fearless, then the only option available for us to take shelter of Krishna. When we understand Krishna is our protector, when we understand that when we engage in devotional service, then Krishna provides us his mercy and shelter. Then the devotees don't have any fear because they know exactly they are under the shelter of Krishna. Hmm? So, therefore, our real shelter is Krishna. That's the one. That's the one can make us really fearless in this material world. Therefore, as devotees, we should not put our faith in the material things like money, technology, education, political system, the social status. Everything will change. It cannot be permanent things. Therefore, if our shelter is based on these things, we will be disappointed at some point of our time. So therefore, we utilize all these things, but at the same time, we should be understand that our real shelter is Krishna, not these temporary material things. This point we need to understand. Therefore, human life is very, very valuable. So he is saying before it becomes weakened, utilize it properly. When our health is good condition, when our senses are in good condition, then we should utilize it properly. We should not simply waste this energy for only gaining material things. That should be utilized for gaining spiritual knowledge also. So we should not wait for old age. That is the main thing, that I will do my bhakti. At old age, we cannot do. If you are not practiced at the age of 5, you cannot practice at the age of 50. So therefore, we have to start from the early as possible. Better late than never. So we have to, whatever stage we are in, we should have an urgency to make spiritual progress. That is what is expected. That's what Prahlad is saying here. So text 6. Pumso varsho satamihi ayush tadartam chajitatmanah nishkalam yat asau ratriyam shete antam prapitastamah. And then it gives a Prahlad is giving our whole life analysis, how we should be spending our lifetime. Every human being has a maximum duration of life of 100 years, but for one who cannot control his senses, half of those years are completely lost because at night he sleeps 12 hours being covered by ignorance. Therefore, such a person has a lifetime of only 50 years. So this is a Prahlad Maharaj analysis, how the materialistic people spend their time. Anyway, Prahlad is saying hypothetically it takes, even if one lives for 100 years, which in Kali Yuga is not at all possible, the average years may be 65, 70. That's all. So even if you consider if one is supposed to live for 100 years because he sleeps more than 10, 12 hours in a day, so 50 years is gone in sleep only. Sleep means you completely forget, you are in mode of ignorance, right? So 50 years gone. So therefore, available is even another 50 years only is available. So life is very short. We should not spend in the mode of ignorance. Right? So this is a very important understanding that Srila Prabhupada explains that is urgency of spiritual life and the danger of wasting the rare human form of life. So therefore we should not postpone spirituality for later stage because nobody knows what the future is going to be. So many years are spent in childhood, old age, like that. So we have very, very little time for Atma Jnana. Durlabham Manusha Janma. Human life is very rare, therefore every moment is precious. So sleep means what? It's tamoguna. So ignorance. The Sanskrit word is tama means ignorance, tamoguna. So the symptom of tamoguna is excessive sleep, laziness, and procrastination, forgetfulness, and then spiritual indifference. Sleep is necessary for the body. Prabhupada writes in another purport that 6 to 7 hours is enough for an average adult in a day. So balanced time should be utilized in a proper way. So another word here is ajitatma, means one who has not conquered the mind and senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about mind control, mind and sense control repeatedly in every chapter. Krishna is talking about it because unless we have a control our mind and senses, we cannot progress in spiritual life. In the modern age, people are encouraged to maximum utilize their sense enjoyment. No control over mind at all. The modern philosophy is do whatever you feel like, right? So therefore, people have become totally indisciplined. There is no time, proper time to go to sleep. Anytime you wake up, anytime you sleep. Anytime you eat whatever you feel like. There's no control, there is no regulation. So therefore, people are getting into a lot of diseases at the very young age. People are people, we have not heard about diseases which normally comes at later stage. Now people are suffering from 20 years onwards, diabetes, heart attack, so many problems, even at the age of 25. So this is all because of indiscipline. So Prahlad Maharaj gives a warning here. You must discipline yourself. Therefore, spiritual science is very, very important. So in the material world, nobody talks about these things. Only one is a spiritually inclined person or a matured person. He will be teaching about how sense control is very, very important. We just can't do whatever our senses and mind demand. So therefore, time is the most valuable asset. So Chanakya Pandita says, if you're lost, he says, if you lose your money, you can get back again. But if your time is lost, you cannot get it back, even paying millions of dollars. So the Sanskrit word is kala, means time, and that is Krishna's powerful energy. So every second brings us closer to what? We are all going towards our old age, isn't it? Vyadi means disease, Mrityu means death. This is a fact. So we are not pessimistic, but that we are actually talking the reality of our life. Therefore, Prahlad is saying that do not waste your time. Every moment is precious, utilize it because you will not get back your time. Krishna has given some credit for us. This much of time you have in this body, and your time starts now. It already started when we come out of a womb of our mother, and there is a date from where we have to go back. We have to leave this body, and that's the time He has given for all of us. Before that time comes, we have to utilize those time effectively so that we develop spiritual knowledge. That is the purpose of life, human body life. So therefore, Prahlad is analyzing, is saying that you should not spend too much time investing your time. So sleep 6 to 7 hours is enough for an adult. So therefore, rest of the time we should utilize for self-realization purpose. So therefore, also we do not know how much time we have left out because, as I said, people are leaving this body early. They are not able to live in 50, 60 years. So therefore, we need to understand. Like for example, somebody is giving you 100 gold coins, and every day coins disappears automatically. So will you waste them? Same way, human life is similar. So each day time decreases. So our lifespan decreases and our opportunities also decrease. Therefore, we have to invest our time wisely. Hmm. So just like an ice block, human life is like an ice block. So even when we are doing nothing, what will happen? The ice will melt, become smaller, and it will disappear. Similarly, even without doing anything, our lifespan will decrease every moment. Like we have seen in the sand in an hourglass. So you see, the hourglass is there, never stops. Every grain falling from it represents a day, a month, a year. So once fallen, it will never return. So that's how human life is. We all celebrate our birthday, right? So birthday means what? One more year we have lost. Or lost means we have spent. How we spent is what most important thing. Yes, it is good to celebrate our birthday, but we have to remind ourselves that we have lost one more year. We are going one more year closer to our end of our life. Therefore, we need to be time conscious and use our time in a proper way, spiritually. That is a real investment. That's what Prahlad says here. So in text 7, he says that मुग्धस्य बालिकैशोरे क्रीडतो याति विंशतिः जरायग्रस्तदेहस्य याति अकल्पस्य विंशतिः. Again further Prahlad says, in the tender age of childhood, when everyone is bewildered, one passes 10 years. Similarly, in boyhood, engage in sporting and playing, one passes another 10 years. In this way, 20 years are wasted. Similarly, in old age, when one is an invalid, unable to perform even material activities, one passes another 20 years. So Prahlad Maharaj's analysis goes further. 50 years in gone and another 40 years, how it is going. So 10 years is goes in the childhood, we never know. In our childhood, we are just completely depending on our parents. We cannot even eat. Somebody has to feed us like that. So 10 years goes like that. And then boyhood, when we comes, then that time we are attached to playing sports. So another 10 years gone. So 20 years got wasted. And another, then what happens in the old age? Unable to perform even our duties. We need help from others. So another 20 years gone. So 40 years is gone like this and 50 years in sleep. So what is left out is only 10 years. So we have to remember this analysis of Prahlad. And this is for everyone. This is not that, okay, for me a different case. No, anyone born in this material world will have these issues. So it is common to everyone. So Prahlad is not criticizing childhood, play, or old age, but rather he is teaching a profound truth. What is human life is extremely short and uncertain. Therefore, we should begin our Krishna consciousness as early as possible and we should not postpone spiritual life. That's the point he's trying to make. So Prabhupada mentions that the greatest tragedy is not death itself, but wasting rare human form of life without attaining self-realization. Atma Gyan. So Balya means childhood and Mugdasya Balya, ignorance. In that, what happens? We are in complete ignorance. We are completely dependent and we don't have understanding. So 10 years goes like that. And boyhood, Kaishora Kridataha. In that time, we are very much interested in playing, entertainment, sports, amusements. So again, 10 years gone in this. And then old age takes another 20 years. So 40 years have gone. Therefore, he is urging all of us, his classmates, don't wait for this. Now only you start understanding the spiritual truth. So this whole material world creates the illusion because now people are thinking that I will always remain young. The cosmetic industry, they are making billions of dollars, giving hope for the people. Okay, you utilized this medicine, you put this cream, you do this one, you will be always looking young. But the fact is, kalaha sarva haraha means time eventually takes away. What it takes? Our so-called beauty, strength, intelligence, possessions, relationship, and the body itself will be taken away by the time. Nobody can stop this. That is a fact. Whether we accept it or not, that is a fact. Therefore, the whole point is that spiritual life cannot be postponed. But what we can do, we have to utilize the golden opportunity. Prahlad is saying the childhood is a golden opportunity. So he's saying, don't wait till you become old. Kaumara achare pragnya. We discussed this previously. So an intelligent person begins childhood from very childhood. He has to start reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam because that is the time habits form easily. So the heart is soft. The faith can develop naturally. Once the bad habits are deeply rooted, then it is very difficult to get out of it. Therefore, children should be trained in bhakti. That's why we are having Bhakta Prahlad school. Many teachers are teaching children because these things are not taught in the school. So please make sure that your children or your near and dear, they are all educated in this science. We should not be just satisfied with what they are doing their school studies, college studies, that is all okay only to gain some money, to make some money in this material world, utility principle only. But the real thing, values can be taught only from scriptures. So for that, spiritual education is required. Okay. So what is the time? Prahlad Maharaj saying that he is expecting us to become aware of this time, because time silently steals our life. Unlike a thief, it never announces its arrival and it never returns what it takes. So every day the childhood decreases, our youth decreases, our lifespan decreases. But yet most people remain unaware. It is a silent killer, time, except for people utilize it properly. Just like when we are going in a train, a traveler becomes absorbed in talking, eating, and then looking outside. Suddenly the destination arrives. Similarly, childhood passes, youth passes, old age comes before one realizes life is over. Hmm. So this is very important. Text 8. दुरापूरेण कामेन मोहेन च बलीयशा शेषं गृहेषु सक्तस्य प्रमत्तस्य पयातिः. One whose mind and senses are uncontrolled becomes increasingly attached to family life because of insatiable lusty desires and very strong illusion. In such a madman's life, the remaining years are also wasted, because even during those years he cannot engage himself in devotional service. So Prahlad Maharaj is further giving a graphical illustration that how the rest of the 10 years also, whatever we have time, how a materialistic attached person spend his time to fulfill his lusty desires, right? So because he does not have any spiritual goal, all his time is spent to increase his, to fulfill his material desires of whatever, um, to satisfy his senses or family members. He works very hard. So all these things he does, and then there is complete zero knowledge of spiritual life. He doesn't have any time and doesn't have any desire or goal to spiritually realized. Hmm. So he's in a complete illusion, materially attached person. Means Grihamedi. Grihamedi means one who doesn't have any spiritual idea, spiritual knowledge, spiritual goal. He's called Grihamedi. Whereas a Grihastha is the one who does all his family duty properly, but at the same time he has a spiritual goal. So that is the difference between Grihastha and Grihamedi. Here Prahlad is talking about Grihamedi. So uncontrolled desires and illusion, that is moha, keep a person trapped in material life, and then he wastes his life. So Prabhupada wants us to understand that real problem is not family life itself, but the attachment, asakti, arising from uncontrolled senses and forgetfulness of Krishna. So here Prahlad is using a word ajitendriya, means one who does not have control over his eyes, ears, tongue, mind, and his genitals. Such a person becomes servant of senses instead of their master. So, how to control our senses? Very simple. All we have to do is utilize the senses in service of Krishna. We have our tongue. That is the basic thing. That's the first thing to be controlled. Because people like to talk always, say something and keep talking about some material subject matters. But we have to, the tongue is given for what purpose? To vibrate the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that is the first business. And then the tongue is utilized for eating nice Krishna Prasad. So if you do these two things, automatically the tongue will be controlled. What we have to do? We have to chant the holy name of Lord and we have to eat only Krishna Prasada. Then what will happen? The belly is controlled, the sense organs are in control. Otherwise, it is not possible because people does not chant the names of Krishna, so the tongue is demanding to eat varieties of foodstuffs. Hmm? They don't have any discrimination what to eat and what not to eat. Today, everything is easily available. You just use your phone, press some buttons, everything is served in your doorstep. Hmm? You don't have to even cook, you don't have to spend time. Just use, you have money, you can get everything in your doorstep. So that today's Kali Yuga. So people are becoming lazy and therefore, but at the same time, they want to eat different kinds of food stuff to fulfill their taste buds. So they don't have any control at all. So yoga means you have to have control over senses, otherwise it's not possible. So here two Sanskrit word durapurena kamena, insatiable lust. So kama means selfish desire for personal enjoyment. And durapurena means never satisfied, impossible to full, endless. That's how the senses are demand. Like if you keep on pouring ghee to the fire will burn. Same way, people think that if I keep on satisfying my senses, then I will be satisfied. No, it will never get satisfied. Like for example, one may think, okay, if I earn 1 lakh, I will be happy. But after getting 1 lakh, what happens? The next goal comes. I want 10 lakhs and then crore. So there is no end to it. It's keep on adding fire to the fuel to the fire. Then our desires keep on increasing. So moha means powerful illusion. Baliyasa mohena. Very strong illusion. And then when you are in illusion, you are completely forget about Krishna. And it will make you to think, okay, I am this body, my family will protect me, my possessions belong to me, and material attachments will satisfy me. These assumptions appear reasonable, but we need to understand they're all temporary and ultimately it is all false attachments. It will increase our false attachment. So, grihesu shaktasya. So, the problem is not your wife or husband, children, parents, home. The problem is shaktasya, means excessive attachment. Excessive attachment means it will make you to forget about Krishna. That's called excessive. Anything which takes away your attention from Krishna, that is their attachment. So therefore, devotees who are living in a grahastha life must ensure that all the family members get attached to Krishna and follow the principles, teachings of Krishna. Then there is no problem. Then we are not in the illusion. Otherwise, Prahlad uses a powerful word here, pramata. Pramata means madness. So, under madness, people will think that I will live forever. And he is seeing in front of here that everyone is dying, everyone is getting deceased, everyone is getting old age. But still, he thinks that he will not get all these things. That is the greatest tragedy. Okay, 10th verse. So, Konartha Trishna Mishrajet Pranabhya Apiya Ipshitah Yam Krinati Asubihi Preshtais Tashkaraha Sevako Mani. Money is so dear that one conceive of money as being sweeter than honey. Therefore, who can give up the desire to accumulate money, especially in household life? Thieves, professional servants, soldiers, and merchants try to acquire money even by risking their very dear lives. So, how Prahlad is able to say all these things? He does not have any practical experience, but still, because he has learned from Narada Muni, he is just repeating what Narada Muni is saying. So, here the greatest attachment for everyone is money. The whole world is running behind money. Because if you have money, you can live very happily. Yes, that's a fact. That to lead a very comfortable life, you need some Lakshmi money. But we need to understand how this Lakshmi should be utilized. Mhm. If we have become greedy, then that will be the cause of our problem. So the whole economy is geared that they made people to work like an animal. Like if you actually analyze what happens, the first 20, 25 years, people have to work very hard to go to school, education, you have to study, write so many exams, write so many your interviews you have to attend to get a job. And then there is no guarantee that you are going to get a job also. So many people have then finished their studies, but still many of them are unemployed. So, and then even if you get a job, again you have to work under a company for more than 10, 12 hours every day. And the boss is demanding. So in this way, we are losing all our time hmm, to earn money. And then before we realize, before we fulfill all our desires, our old age comes. And then again we require more money to cure our diseases. In this way, there is no end to it. It keeps it's becoming an endless cycle. And the biggest problem is that it makes us to completely forget and puts us in illusion. It doesn't give any spiritual knowledge at all. So therefore, unless we need to, while earning money, we must also know earn spiritual knowledge. Both for utility purpose, we can earn money. Grahastha means you are allowed to earn money. But that money should be seen as the utilized for the service of Krishna. That we are getting, Krishna is giving us Lakshmi. So that money should be properly utilized to maintain the family and make spiritual progress. So money is not bad, but how you utilize it is what matters. You can spiritualize your money by utilizing it in Krishna's service. So we are not saying that throw your money, become a sannyasi or pauper. That's not what it is said here. So here Krishna himself telling to Arjuna, you have to fight, you get back to your kingdom, and you enjoy, he is saying in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is not saying that you. Another misconception people have is that to become spiritually realized person, you have to renounce your all your material comforts. No, that's not what the idea is. The idea is that whatever you get, you should understand that everything you get it because of Krishna's mercy and you utilize in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada taught us the principle of utility is principle. That is one of the basic teachings. Utility means you have house, you utilize nicely for service of Krishna. Invite the devotees, have kirtan, have pravachan, give Krishna prasadam to devotees. That means your house becomes ritualized. So if you have money, you get books, Srila Prabhupada books, read, distribute it like that. So everything can be spiritualized. So whatever capacity we have, but we should not be too much attached to this. We should not be a condition, okay, if I have this much bank balance only, I can live very peacefully. It is not like that. We can live in any situation and be peaceful and happy. What is most important thing is how much we are attached to Krishna. That's important. But materialistic people have a completely different idea. They think money is honey and they will do everything. They risk everything, as mentioned here, that people risk their life. And then so many people are trying to steal the money. They get punishment, right? So many people, and the people take risk in many things, risk their life to earn money. So those things should be avoided. So in text 11 to 13, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that it's very difficult to give up the association of those who are so dear and connected to the heart and household life. Hmm. So naturally, when becomes what happens? First, you get attached to your spouse, and then you have children, and then to maintain them you need to have house and then earn money. Everything becomes a attachment. It's very difficult to give up these things. And the analogy given is like a silkworm. The silkworm, what does it? It makes a cocoon out of its saliva, right? And then inside it gets trapped. It cannot come out. The own cocoon is there. Same way, we create attachment, and then later we find difficult to come out of the same attachment. That's what is about Grihamedi life is about. Still, Prabhupada used to say that when death comes, there are some people when the doctor says we have only limited time to live, and then they are telling doctor, I will pay you any amount of money, please, because I have not finished still my duty. I need to live for another couple of 5 6 years. Some or other make me healthy, you know. So the Vedic system is not like that. You are if you are living first 25 is a brahmachari life. The second 25 years, if you are getting married, that is Grihasthashram. And then one is supposed to get Vanaprastha, take retirement, and then spend the rest of the time for making spiritual progress. But nowadays, people are not like that. They want to work till the end of their life. And they don't have any concept, any idea, any thinking of spiritual life only. They think it's waste of time. What is the spiritual life? Money is everything. If I have money, I can get anything in my life. I can lead a very comfortable life. So this is the biggest illusion. So some money can be utilized for keeping our health. That's all fine. Devotees can utilize the money properly, but non-devotees, they don't spend the money for spiritual purpose. Only engaged in material activities that will bind them. Hmm. So therefore, it is very dangerous. So Prahlad further says, Kutumba poshaya vivanya nijayur na buddhyate artam vigatam pramatah sarvatra tapatraya dukitatma nirvidyate na swakutumpa ramaha. One who is too attached cannot understand that he is wasting his valuable life for the maintenance of his family. He also fails to understand that the purpose of human life is a life suitable for realization of the absolute truth is being imperceptibly spoiled. However, he is very cleverly attentive to seeing that a not single farthing is lost by mismanagement. Thus, although an attached person, his material existence always suffers from threefold miseries, he does not develop a distaste for the way of material existence. Hmm. Yeah, so we saw this one slide. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that people are very carefully invest their money so that money is utilized to increase their security or the family comforts, but they don't value their own life, that they don't realize they are wasting their valuable life without making any spiritual progress. So this is a complete illusory life. Okay, 15th sloka. वित्तेषु निध्याभिनवस्तचेता विद्वांसदोषं परवित्तहर्तु प्रत्येकवातापि अजितेन्द्रियस्तत् अशन्तकामो हरते कुटुम्बी. If a person too attached to the duties of family maintenance is unable to control his senses, the core of his heart is immersed in how to accumulate the money. Although he knows that one who takes the wealth of others still be punished by the law of government and by the laws of emerage after death, he continues to cheating others to acquire money. So in Kali Yuga, it is very common that by hook or crook, anyone who earns money by hook or crook, he will be considered as the greatest person, because the media is projecting people who are famous, who are people having a lot of money. They are the people they project as if they are the person who is completely happy, right? So therefore, everyone his mind is brainwashed that somehow or other you earn a lot of money and you become famous and you can live a very peaceful and happy life. So that's not the way how one gets real happiness. Because people are, that's why if you see that there are so many cases in the court. Why? Every day the crime rate is increasing in the society. What is the reason? The reason is that people want to somehow or other survive by earning more and more money. People are not happy with whatever they are having, and to increase their bank balance, somehow or other they want to cheat. And the greatest thieves are the politicians, and they are claiming to be the guardian of the society, but they are the criminals, number one criminals. There are so many the current politicians, more than 40 to 45% of the politicians, they have criminal case in the court. Why they are doing all these things? Because that's the way they can earn more money by corruption. So they are so attached to these things. And that's people are, they don't see whether this is correct or wrong. Somehow or other, we have to earn. The more money you have, the more we can be happy. The more you will get material comforts, big house, big vehicle, like that. But these are all complete illusion, because the law of karma will not spare anyone. There are people who minted money and then escape from India, big businessmen. They escape from India and go and settle down in other countries, foreign countries. But they think that they can escape the laws of government, but they cannot escape the law of emerage. So every activity, whatever we are doing, it is all recorded, just like CCTV. CCTV is recording the movements, right? Same way, the earth, the sun, the moon, all are witness for all our activities. So any money earned through illegal process, we have to suffer for the reaction for that one. But nowadays people don't have any belief in all this system. They don't believe the Shastra. And they think that, okay, who cares about these things? Hook or crook, try to get money, and then he will be happy. So this is a complete tragedy, that people don't realize that they have to suffer for their actions. Therefore, the Shastras are given that one should earn honestly, not by any illegal things. So even the government, we are also seeing that many people are punished by the law, and many people may escape also, but they cannot escape from emerage. That's a fact. So the honesty is very difficult in Kali Yuga. So, text 16, Prahlad is saying, Vidvan apetata dhanajo kudumba pumsam sulokaya kalpate vai yavasvevaya parakya vibhinabhavas thamo prapadyeta yata vimoho. O my friend, son of demons, in the material world, even those who are apparently advanced in education have the propensity to consider this is mine and that is for others. Thus, they are always engaged in providing the necessities of life to their families in a limited conception of family life, just like uneducated cats and dogs. They are unable to take the spiritual knowledge, instead, they are bewildered and overcome by ignorance. So, Prahlad's words are very, very strong, because by only hearing such statement, our attachment to illusion will go. Otherwise, it will not happen. So, what he is saying here, everyone has got the conception, this is my house, this is my property, this belongs to me, right? So anyone who thinks like that, he is in the animal consciousness, because the animals thinks like that. Hmm? This is mine, this is my family, and their only interest is some or other, me and my family, that's it. And they will do everything possible for that one. And therefore, such people, Prahlad says that they cannot take to any spiritual knowledge if you are in the animal consciousness, because you are in the mode of ignorance. Because the point is that when we come to this material world, we did not bring anything. And when we leave this body, also we are not going to take anything. So in the meantime, in the in between time, the brief time what we are living, we we attached ourselves to false we claim false proprietorship of everything. And therefore that will cause more and more damage. Because the moment we lose all these things, we cannot accept it. Right? Because we have been trained, our mind has been trained in the same consciousness. Me, everything belong, I. We become the center. So therefore, nature does not works like that. Nature will take away, because nothing belongs to us actually. So everything belongs to Krishna. So therefore, we are only a custodian, and whatever we get in our life, we are only allowed to take only a fraction of it for our use and utilize everything for Krishna's service. So that is the correct mood we should have. Hmm. And that's why the system is Varnashrama system is given, that at the age of 50 one should retire and then devote yourself spiritually. So therefore then we can remove all this whatever detachment, we can develop all this detachment. Otherwise it's very difficult. Till the end of our life we will be in the false attachment, and that will be causing more and more trouble. So Prahlad is teaching that one should give up these false attachments. Right? So everything should be trained. We should be trained to see everything as a property of Krishna. As I said earlier, your property, your house, your money, your family members, everything belongs to Krishna. And therefore, everyone is supposed to consider themselves as servant of Krishna. Just like we are working in a big organization, you may be like a bank cashier, but you can count millions of dollars. But you know that doesn't not a single dollar belongs to you. Everything belongs to the bank. Same way, this whole world belongs to Krishna. He is the creator. So we have to understand that everything belongs to Krishna. Then what is there for us to falsely attach to these things? So therefore, we are only allowed to utilize it. That's all. That is our that much only we can do. Utilize it for spreading Krishna consciousness, preaching purpose. And that is what the Shastra repeatedly says. Just like Krishna is saying, Arjuna, that you act as an instrument in my service. That's all. Krishna has made a plan already. So we should be intelligent enough to understand that if we play a part of Krishna's plan, we are under complete protection. So we need not have to worry about anything. But if we refuse and we have our own plan, we have our own idea how to live happily, that will not work out. Because as a servant of Krishna, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, servant of Krishna. Our duty is to serve Krishna. So this principle we need to be thoroughly convinced. Then only we can redirect our energy towards Krishna. Otherwise, all our energy will be either spent for our own comfort or our family members, and in this way, we will get more and more, will go under more and more illusion, and that will give us misery only. So the choice is ours. So that's why these Prahlad teachings are very, very important. We must read it again and again to understand. And that's how we can come out of the illusion, and we can actually really feel the happiness of serving Krishna. So that is the most important lessons. So we will continue to hear next week further uh, from this chapter, sixth chapter of Bhagavatam. Okay, I'll stop it here. Hare Krishna. Anyone like to share some comments? What do you think? What Prahlad teaching is something non-practical, or what he is teaching is it relevant to our current day society or not?
Some
At
extent.
least we should try. At least we should try to do something. Think of God, pray God, devote some time to prayers, and that's the major teaching. Other things maybe not practical in today's life.
What
Should
is
do
not
something.
practical? What is
See,
not
50
practical?
years, 50 years retire and spend time for devotion. Nowadays, even I was in government service. I retired at the age of 60. Then I spent some time in devotion, but how is it possible to? So we find it difficult. So that's why in Kali Yuga it was told the major issue is always say Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare. That's the possible thing. Instead of doing all these things, we can
See,
Maranam.
yeah. So that 50 years in Kali Yuga can be plus or minus. 60 is also fine. But the point is that we must practice it, and then we should teach to others, not just only uh, uh, follow little bit only. What I'm trying to say is you can devote more time, you can read, and then you can teach to others also. So that's very important. So in that way it
Kali
becomes
Yuga
very easy.
Kirtanam. Kali Yuga
Hmm.
Kirtanam is the best way you can. The
Yeah.
best way is It was told,
Chanting is
but
the best way,
you,
and we need more preachers.
Prabhuji, you yourself told us. Then also Bhagavad Gita also it was said, you just say Bhagavan Nama, you will attain salvation. That's it.
Yeah, that's the process. And also we should teach to our younger generation so that they start from the beginning. That's very important. Yeah, anyone else would like to share? We have to understand the principles. Maybe in practical life there could be some little bit of adjustments is there, but the principles we need to follow as much as possible. There are people who are following it, we can follow them. And if you are in the association of devotees, you will understand these things. Yeah, anyone else? Someone you would like to share? Somebody was talking. Some Matajis.
Prabhuji, in nowadays children, we need to bribe them. Like if God does this for you, then you chant His name for. I am doing that like that only for my son. Actually, first of all, he was not doing any namaskaram also to the God. So nowadays, I've started telling him like if he does this for you, if he does that for you, you increase your chanting His name. Like I hope that is not a bad thing I'm doing, or like it's okay, no, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Initially, something is required for them. Ena kena prakarena, whatever way is possible, some or other, if they chant the name, that is good. That doesn't matter in the initial stage. But gradually, once they start chanting, they will understand these things. For children, yeah, we need to give some incentives. It's okay, fine, no problem.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you very much. So please continue to chant. You have to keep reading Bhagavatam again and again. Then only our you will come out of all this, come to the reality. That is most important thing. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhesya kripa sindhabhyev cha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.